Tim's News Explosion. 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 Tim's News Explosion.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this special end-of-week edition of Tim's News Explosion on this Friday, the 27th of May, 2022. Stephen Berry is sick this evening, and Dewey DeBoer is enjoying a night out. So with much happening around the globe that some people might have missed in the post-election aftermath, I thought that I would host an extra news blast, even though I've been sick this week as well. We are live on the Wilmsfront and Unshackled YouTube channels, since Trad Tasman Talk is always on the Unshackled YouTube channel. I thought I'd stream to both tonight, and we are live on the Wilmsfront D Live as well. Hello to all the regulars in the chat. Hello to Crescio, who says Dewey has his priorities in order. And we have Andy Nolch, who is the Indie Scientology podcast. Howdy, everyone. So yes, it is 8:30 p.m. here in Melbourne, Victoria, where it is grand final night tomorrow. Not the AFL grand final, but the A-League men's grand final. I've got to say the A-League men's because the A-League now has the men's and the women's division. So I've got to specify what A-League it is. So it's at Amy Park, which is the rectangular stadium near the MCG. It's an all-Melbourne derby between my team, Melbourne City, and Western United, which is based in the western suburbs of Melbourne, and Geelong and Ballarat. Now, as I mentioned, I've been feeling sick, and Stephen is. I haven't got COVID, but it could be any number of these, these comeback viruses and these other viruses and infections that are popping up. So I thought I'd begin the show by doing a health alert because there's COVID, flu, gastro, RSV, and we've now got monkeypox, but New South Wales put out this public health alert yesterday that advising people who'd been in the Sydney CBD area the past 10 days to be on the lookout for symptoms of Legionnaires disease, as 5 people have developed the disease, spent time in the area in the past 3 weeks. So it's a bacteria that causes Legionnaires disease, often associated with contaminated cooling towers of large buildings. People can be exposed to the bacteria if contaminated water particles from the cooling system are emitted into the air and breathed in. Yeah, so all 5 people have been admitted to hospital for treatment for pneumonia, so they can develop 10 days from the time of exposure to contaminated water particles in the air, and include fever, chills, a cough, shortness of breath, and may lead to severe chest infections such as pneumonia. So diagnosed by chest X-ray and a urine test, and usually require antibiotic treatment in hospital there. So, though it's worth highlighting, and this is what New South Wales Health says, that it's not spread from person to person. So it's got further down here the Legionnaires disease fact sheet. So it does not spread from person to person. So there you go. Now, early back in March, we were told to be on the lookout for Japanese encephalitis, and there were a few deaths recorded. Those are mosquitoes that carry Japanese encephalitis. When they suck the blood out of you, they can infect you, and they can also infect pigs, and that can go on to humans as well. Crescio, they better lock down again soon. Whole ecosystems are collapsing. How dare non-essential people go out? Well, that's always the go-to for the panic merchants. Well, the ones who exist on social media who miss lockdown. But yes, it's climate change is blamed for a lot of the spread of these. What is it? Existing viruses, and that us humans are encroaching on nature more, because remember, humans bad. So there's been a second death recorded of a person with Japanese encephalitis. So a man in his 60s from the Kawerau area in early March. So he got the virus in early March and died at Albury-based hospital on May 20. So 13 residents have been infected with JE and 2 have died. But the important thing to stress about Japanese encephalitis is that there's a vaccine to prevent it, which is being distributed to people at risk and those who work at the piggeries. And there's also a vaccine to prevent, and also in the early exposure stages to monkeypox. So this is the global health monkeypox tracker here. So as you can see, if you're watching, the real dark blue hotspots are the UK, Spain, Portugal. So in the United Kingdom, there's 90 confirmed cases, Spain 84, Portugal 58, Canada 26. And as a lot of health experts have said, a lot of it is transmission is occurring infection is occurring, I should say, between men who have sex with men. So they've contact traced as a fetish festival in Belgium and a gay sauna in Madrid. Thankfully for us in Australia, there was just 2 cases here detected, both from overseas travellers. So last Friday, that's when we had New South Wales and Victoria monkeypox update. But yeah, as I said, with even though this is the first major Western outbreak, there's a vaccine for it, as there is for Japanese encephalitis. And the Queensland government announced this week free flu jabs, and Victoria and New South Wales are also going to be announcing free flu jabs in the next week, because we're being told to be more concerned about the spread of the flu this winter rather than COVID. COVID cases have been trending down nationwide this week, including in Victoria, and it fits my hypothesis that the federal election campaign was a super spreader event. Half of Anal's front bench, I think, got COVID during the campaign, and Anal got COVID himself. And Western Australia, they recorded nearly close to 20,000 new cases at one point in a day. But theirs have gone down. Obviously, a lot of the politicians were spending time in Perth, and that's immune naive population. But in WA, they've gone down again. So these politicians, when they were out greeting the voters, they were a lot of them obtained the infection, and they would have been infectious when they were greeting the voters. Now, before moving on to Anal's first week as Prime Minister, let's pay tribute to outgoing Prime Minister Scott Morrison. And one of the best video editors that has emerged throughout the last year, Remix Matrix, put together this farewell Scott Morrison video.
For those of you watching this at home tonight, we say farewell, as I'm sure comes as a great relief to the people of Australia. It's been an exhausting time, and they've certainly had enough of my face. It's been a shameful chapter in our national story. From badly timed holidays. This is cold. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared. It's cold. To many, many years of inaction and weak leadership. To tackling your children. Yeah, I'm fine. Better days are now ahead. But as one chapter opens, of course another chapter closes. And I want to make sure that the last thing I say as PM is thank you for the wonderful pension. Thank you for listening tonight, and good night, Australia.
Crescio, yes, Remix Matrix made the Gladys Berejiklian Takes Over the World video where she announced, the final solution, and that she was inspired by history to prevent anyone thinking illegal thoughts. And also earlier this year, Remix Matrix put together Mark McGowan creating his own country. And now another long time comedic group that you'd all be familiar with is the Chaser, and the Chaser Interns, which is a spin-off of the Chaser, like up and coming, I guess you could call Chaser members. They also put together this musical tribute to the end of Scott Morrison's prime ministership.
Please don't tell anybody else at Angry Buckets I shot myself. Oh, please don't tell anybody else. Oh no, oh no, oh no.
Yeah, it's kind of catchy, and they've said that if they get $100 in patrons, they'll make the full version of Scott Morrison "I Shat Myself" parody, which it's referencing, of course, that urban legend, which i.e. complete rubbish, that rumor that Scott Morrison shat himself at the Enganine Macca's, which is a suburb just outside of the greater Sydney area, near the Shire, when the Sharks lost the 1998 NRL or Super League Grand Final. I'm not an NRL buff, but the Sharks lost, and apparently, yes, it was so devastating for him that he shat his pants at the Enganine Macca's. I'm going to Sydney next week, so I'll definitely be visiting that McDonald's as a bit of sightseeing, where it's obviously it's not true that Scott Morrison did that. Melissa McPhee, almost as embarrassing as pissing your pants. It's probably more embarrassing pissing your pants at Federation Square with lots of people around. Obviously, the McDonald's is a bit more of a private venue, that Federation Square in Melbourne. Now, Anil's first week as Prime Minister. Obviously, on Monday's program, I went through his swearing in of his interim cabinet. And so the focus has been on, foreign policy, because he first went to the Quad meeting in Tokyo with he met Joe Biden, who said, "Oh, you've had a busy trip. I won't blame you if you fall asleep." Now, obviously, there's the first lady, Anil's girlfriend Jodie Hayden, but there's also the first dog, Toto, who Anil spent isolation with. So Toto has got his own Twitter account. So, hello Australia. Dad thought it'd be a very good idea to get a Twitter account. So here I am. Woof. Yeah. So we've got obviously I'm not sure if Toto could go to Tokyo, probably because of quarantine biosecurity. Because when Johnny Depp and Amber Heard were married, they snuck their dogs Pistol and Boo into Australia, and Barnaby Joyce, the agriculture minister at the time, said if they're not out of this country, they'll have to be euthanized. And well, flash forward, I think that was about six years ago now. Johnny Depp and Amber Heard are tearing each other apart in this defamation trial. Obviously, Amber Heard was very shitty in that relationship. We've also had the new foreign minister, Penny Wong, do a tour of the Pacific Islands. She was in Fiji today, basically to stop China signing up more nations to their security pact. Now, the Liberal advertising was that it won't be easy under Albanese, and remember that annoying jingle. There's a hole in your budget. Well, it's certainly going. Well, annual is going to be very painful because we had this week the power industry regulator, so it's called the Australian Energy Regulator. It's decided to pass on hefty increases to a benchmark power price. So the tariffs known as default market offers will rise between 8.5% and 18.3% in New South Wales, and up to 12.6% in Southeast Queensland, 9.5% in South Australia. Doesn't say in Victoria, but estimates by the ACCC, this will come into effect on July the 1st. So average residential electricity bill will be at 1,434. They follow a similar, albeit smaller increase announced by Victoria's Essential Services Commission on Tuesday. So, yeah, already the cost of living going up, and Anil, in his submission to the Fair Work minimum wage increases, is not going to say that it's going to be 5.1%, that he wants the minimum wage to go up. So he said that he absolutely wanted it to, but yes, that's another back down there. And Treasurer Jim Chalmers has done the old thing. He's opened the books and is like, my God, look at the state of the budget. There's going to be lots of nasties in here that we're going to have to fix. Jim Chalmers is also the acting Home Affairs Minister. We don't know who the Home Affairs Minister yet, other than it won't be Christina Keneally. So he announced that the Tamil asylum seekers, the Nadasalingam family, will be allowed to return to the central Queensland town of Billawheeler. They're also known as the Muru Gappins. So they have spent the last 4 years in immigration detention. The reason why they were in immigration detention is because they weren't found to be refugees, and they arrived illegally to Australia by boat. So there was a huge Home to Billow campaign. Now, obviously, this family is very much wanted in the town of Billawheeler, but of course, the reason why it was not in the overall national interest for them to be granted bridging visas to stay, because it would send the signal to people smugglers that if you campaign hard enough, if you make it to Australia by boat, then you can stay. Illegal is illegal. Well, that was the position of the Morrison government, and there's still the after controversy about the announcement on election day from Border Force that a Sri Lankan asylum boat had been intercepted. Apparently, they weren't turned around. They were put on a charter flight back to Sri Lanka. Now, given that the Biloela family are, well, they're Tamil Sri Lankans, and Sri Lanka is broke now with food and fuel shortages, there's going to be many what is termed push factors that you wouldn't blame people for getting out of Sri Lanka, given that it's the country is broke, and we've got many great Sri Lankan Australians, such as the Real Rukshan and also Tricky Tritty. But yes, they have to try to immigrate to Australia through the legal way. I also left out Pastor Danny Nalia as well, who's Sri Lankan. So, but yes, coming here illegally, well, as the term says, illegal, as Mel said, illegal is illegal. Our international border is open again, so if there's worthy Sri Lankans that wish to come to Australia, they've got to apply through the proper channels. We'll see if Labor holds the line. They want to get rid of temporary protection visas, but we will see if they are able to keep the boats out. And now Peter Dutton looks like being Liberal opposition leader elect. And after Mark McGowan, the WA Premier, called him an extremist, the West Australian newspaper dressed him up as Voldemort. Peter Dutton is dressed up as Voldemort for Pauline Hanson's Please Explain cartoons. So the headline is in the Harry Potter font, Mark McGowan and the not that smart, absolutely crazy extremist. And Tanya Plibersek on Radio 4BC said, I think there will be a lot of children who have watched a lot of Harry Potter films who will be very frightened of what they're seeing on TV at night. And that's for sure. I'm saying he looks a bit like Voldemort. Now, she's not the first person to make that comparison. What was the original comparison? That he looked like Mr. Potato Head. Obviously, that's a lot. That comparison is a lot less sinister one than Voldemort. And now the conservative flakes, as I call them, they got all triggered on Peter Dutton's behalf. And what is it? Tanya Plibersek apologized, and Albanese said, yes, there's no room for name calling anymore, and she's apologized. And as Dutton said, I've accepted her apology. It's water off a duck's back. And what is that? I do my fair share of name calling on this show as well. And I don't want. Our politics are already extremely precious, so with people getting offended all the time. So I thought that. I don't like when conservatives they try to be more offended than the left and be snowflakes themselves. Now, Peter Dutton, he's promised to lead the Liberal Party from the centre. He says he wants to bring the moderates and conservatives together, which is John Howard is the model of the broad church. Is what it's always called. I'll bring up the article that Peter Dutton's rallying cry. We are Liberals. Peter Dutton's rallying cry to moderates and conservatives. Susan Ley, the Southern Regional New South Wales MP, former Environment Minister, who will be his deputy. There's Dutton with his wife, 2 sons and daughter. Now, when he was under threat of losing his seat at the 2019 federal election, there was a feature in the Courier Mail where his wife said, "My Pete's no monster," Dutton's wife, in emotional plea for hate to stop, but the sickos who threaten our kids are. Now, Peter Dutton, he's obviously been the most outstanding, as its term, political head kicker, first in Home Affairs and Defence. I certainly don't think it's if you sort of have to put on a major paper that he's not a monster, you're legitimizing the usual lefty criticisms of your husband. And what is that? Peter Dutton said, I want to show another side of me, and that, but no, he can't pretend to be somebody he's not. He's he's already, because he walked out during the apology to the stolen generation, and now he said, he expresses regret with that. So if he tries to pretend to be somebody that he's not going to succeed. He's going to succeed if he's a demolition man, a wrecker like Tony Abbott was. That's how he nearly defeated the Rudd Gillard government in one term, and then won a landslide in 2013. That's the strategy that he should adopt. And the election result, obviously, it wasn't a overwhelming vote for a change to Labor. It was a vote against the Liberals, with the Teal independents cleaning up, winning 6 more seats. There's 7 of them now, and this has gone viral this week. This is a letter in the Australian. Dave: I live in a Teal seat. All my adult children who live at home voted Teal for action on climate change and reducing carbon emissions. I've embraced the result, instituted a new climate-friendly regime from this morning. All hot showers limited to 2 minutes to save on gas. Internet access limited 1 hour a day to save on coal-fired electricity. All access to fossil fuel-powered cars has ceased. They can use public transport. I've instituted this immediately from this morning. They don't seem very happy. I've called them climate deniers. Have a nice day. Now, there wasn't just the Teal independents who were victorious. There was also the independent who slayed Christina Keneally's political career, though there's been some salty Twitter drips, including one, you would call it the drip Queen Bee, Belinda Jones, 68, who has written, "This is interesting. Dai Lee's wiki page says she arrived in Australia as a child from Vietnam, yet on her AEC candidate declaration, she answered no. Have you ever been a subject or citizen of a country, of any country other than Australia? No evidence of citizenship provided." As many pointed out to her in reply, she was born in South Vietnam in 1968 when the bombs were dropping and the Tet Offensive had just happened. I don't think they had a functioning good functioning births, deaths, and marriages based there in South Vietnam. And if she's trying to imply that she's still a citizen of South Vietnam, well, the country doesn't exist anymore. And if there was some record in Hanoi of her being a citizen, she would have lost it when she became an Australian, because Vietnam doesn't allow dual citizenship. Now, George Christensen on his Facebook page now, who after the election is now focused on his Nation First newsletter and videos, posted what the actual House of Representatives ballot paper. Pauline Hanson, she looks like she'll get re-elected, but it's very tight at the moment. Same with Ralph Babet for the United Australia Party in Victoria. So all the options, Klaus Schwab. And this week, the modern day Spectre have had their annual meeting at their lair in Davos in Switzerland. And obviously, Klaus Schwab, he hasn't been deterred by the increased scrutiny on his globalist agenda. This was his opening of the World Economic Forum annual meeting.
Let's also be clear. The future is not just happening. The future is built by us, by a powerful community as you here in this room. We have the means to improve the states of the world. But 2 conditions are necessary. The first one is that we act all as stakeholders of larger communities, that we serve not our only self-interests, but we serve the community. That's what we call stakeholder responsibility. And second, that we collaborate. And this is the reason why you find many opportunities here during the meeting to engage into very action and impact-oriented initiatives to make progress related to specific issues on the global agenda.
I think the audience said afterwards, and Andy says, I love the accent. It's like a combination, because he's Swiss, combination between French and German. And yes, he was very adamant. The future will be built by us. We will own everything and you'll be happy. And one of the, the sit downs he had was with Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla. I think that's how you pronounce that, where they showed that they had some self-awareness that people are critical of them, and they tried to make a lighthearted joke about all these crazy conspiracy theories about them both.
With the vaccine, that we knew that there is a very fanatic group of anti-vaxxers that will go after us no matter what. They will claim that the sun didn't go up because people were vaccinated, and that created issues with the crop, so I'm suing you. And one thing it is to sue you in the US, another thing is to sue you in a country where the legal system is not up to that standards, or in Switzerland, right? So I think that's behind us. Everything went okay, and now I think we can move on.
I think we were both targets of the anti-vaccine movements and conspiracy people claiming that I had triple, I wondered what it is, triple COVID. Yeah, and something, well, was, I think it got hundreds of thousands of clicks and so on. I know you were also target.
I read one day that was arrested by FBI.
Yeah, same happened to me.
And there are pictures of me and FBI officers. I don't know how.
Yeah.
I never said. The surprising thing it is that the same publication, I found out because I had published, the previous one that was arrested was the Pope by FBI. So, ridiculous.
Yeah, so we are good company.
Well, at least I was in good company.
Yeah, but
Yeah, so they just tried to laugh it off there, Klaus and Albert. But as you'll have seen by the independent media trying to cover Davos, the World Economic Forum have their own police there to make sure that they crack down on anyone with an anti-World Economic Forum agenda. Now, obviously, with the Australian change of government, there was no elected official from Australia who was at the World Economic Forum, but there was one of our bureaucrats there, the e-safety commissioner, i.e. Australia's censor-in-chief, a position created by the Abbott government, Julie Inman Grant. And she explained basically how, she views her role and what the internet needs to become.
We are finding ourselves in a place where we have increasing polarization everywhere, and everything feels binary when it doesn't need to be. So I think we're going to have to think about a recalibration of a whole range of human rights that are playing out online, from freedom of speech to the freedom to, to be free from online violence, or the right of data protection to the right to child dignity.
No, she doesn't sound Australian there. She sounds American, but yeah, she's basically in charge of issuing takedown notices to social media companies. And yeah, obviously the title, she's not a censor or what is it, anti-free speech. She's about e-safety. Anything with safety in the title, you know that that's just a cover. Now, it wouldn't be a World Economic Forum annual meeting without some proposal about how to track the plebs more to make sure that well, they're taking their medicine, they're not polluting the world, or of course to make sure that the world functions better.
We're developing through technology an ability for consumers to measure their own carbon footprint. What does that mean? That's where are they traveling? How are they traveling? What are they eating? What are they consuming on the platform? So individual carbon footprint tracker. Stay tuned. We don't have it operational yet, but this is something that we're working on.
Yes, and the audience, they were very receptive to that. So yeah, that's their plans for the future. The Spectre organization there, I assume they're going to have their, what is it, secret meeting there where Klaus Schwab has got the buttons on his chair with all the people, and if they've disappointed him, he presses the red button and their chair tips over. Now, over in the US, we obviously had the most tragic and sad news of another US mass shooting, this time again in a primary school. So it's like a rerun of the tragedy in Sandy Hook in 2012. So 18-year-old Salvador Ramos, he murdered 19 students and 2 teachers and wounded 17 others at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas. And of course, it's renewed the media and Democrats and globalists, politicians call for gun control, which and obviously Australia is always held out as the gun control model because John Howard, a Conservative Prime Minister after the Port Arthur massacre, instituted the gun buyback. But there's the US citizens, they're never going to give up their guns. In fact, because of these mass shootings, which seem to basically increase in the death toll and frequency after the Columbine school massacre in 1999 in Michigan, I think it was. And yeah, it's just gotten worse since then. So there's definitely it's a sick aspect of the US culture that this keeps happening, and certainly any form of gun control is not going to help it. And if there's all these shootings, you're going to want a gun if you're in the US to protect yourself. People buy more guns after these massacres to protect themselves. Again, there's a lot of foreign press meddling in this debate, but it's just an unspeakable tragedy. And now Jacinda Ardern, after the Christchurch massacre, she has attempted to implement Australia-style gun control, which the police even raided Dewey de Boer for his alleged firearm collection because he wrote a submission. Well, he wrote a submission critical, and so he's been in the battle with the police to get the information about why they executed the raid. Now, Jacinda Ardern, she's in the US at the moment. She gave a commencement speech at Harvard, and she also appeared on the Colbert, it's not the Colbert Report anymore, the Late Show with Stephen Colbert, where she, obviously talked about her gun control and, how the tragic shooting made her feel.
You know, when I watch from afar and see events such as those today, I think of them not as a politician, I see them just as a mother, and I'm so sorry for what has happened here.
Now, going over to the UK, the Sue Gray Partygate report is finally being tabled, and it's much worse than most of us thought it would be. It definitely wasn't a whitewash, that there was a terrible culture inside number 10 of excessive parties, treating the cleaning staff really appallingly. Boris Johnson is not going to resign. He's just talked about the the reforms that he's putting in place in his own office. Now, on previous shows, I've played to you the numerous Partygate parody videos, and Remix Matrix again put out an excellent one on Boris Johnson's Partygate.
It is now almost 2 months since the people of this country began to put up with restrictions on their freedom, your freedom, of a kind that we have never seen before in peace or war. And you have shown the good sense to support those rules overwhelmingly. But I want to party, and I have had more than enough of this long period of enforced inactivity, which robbed me of my mojo. So tonight, I'm going to an event where I'll meet lots of people, but you must stay at home. If you don't follow the rules, the police will have the powers to enforce them, except for me. I'm not going to pretend that I care what you say. I believe that as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, I'm allowed to dance.
And obviously, in the past, I've also commented on all the other UK sleaze scandals, and it's one of the biggest issues in UK politics, that their politicians are caught in so many more hypocrisy scandals, whether it be sex or, in this case, partying, when they told everyone else that they couldn't have parties or even attend funerals as well. Now, final section of the show, we have a celebrity update. So we have Kevin Spacey. He's been charged with 4 counts of sexual assault in the United Kingdom on 3 men. We'll see what happens to these 3 men before these cases come to trial. And we also had the death of actor Ray Liotta, who, of course, is most famous for his role in Goodfellas. You would have seen him with in the laughing meme that goes around. He's in it with Joe Pesci there. He died in his sleep at age 67. There's so many celebrities, sports stars who are just dying prematurely. It's so tragic. Now, as I mentioned, I'll be in Sydney next week, but there'll be no shows from next Monday until the following Sunday, but there'll be one last show this Sunday, a Tim's News Explosion with special guest, senior editor of The Unshackled, Damien Ferry. He, like Andy Nolch, was a volunteer for the United Australia Party on election day in his native Wollongong. So I'll be looking forward to catching up with him. The next election that we have is the Victorian state election on Saturday, the 26th of November, 2022. Obviously, we all want to see the end of Dictator Dan's reign of terror that he's put us through, though the Liberal opposition, well, they're putting themselves up as a mediocre alternative. This week, the Liberal Party room followed through with its expulsion motion of Conservative Bernie Finn. He came outside of the Parliament to a hero's welcome by his supporters. He intends to contest the 2022 state election. He's going to run for the West Metro, but he hasn't decided if he's going to run as an independent or a party. he's been loyal to the Liberal Party for over 40 years, and this is how they've treated him for. All he did was restate the same 100% pro-life views he's had for the past 40 years. So, Matthew Guy expelling somebody because, leading the expulsion against a member because he didn't like his views. I mean, he's proving himself, Matthew Guy, to be not much better than Dictator Dan as well. So, enjoy your weekend, everybody. Stay safe, stay free, stay warm, and also stay healthy as well. I'm probably glad that I got this cold that I have. It's not COVID this week, so I'll recover in time from when I'm heading off to Sydney. So enjoy your weekend and go Melbourne City tomorrow night.
Tim's News Explosion. 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 Tim's News Explosion.